America, America. We all love Team America World Police. It was great back in the day, back in the Bush era. But do its commentaries still remain relevant? I think the answer is no. I think they sort of fucked it up. I think, Matt, very funny movie, still holds the test of time in terms of comedy. Maybe not with the Kim Jong-il Asian voice.
Well, I thought the most problematic part would have been Matt Damon.
Oh, you're right. They did do a little bit of an ableism there, but I don't think they were saying that Matt Damon was mentally handicapped, but rather he was just a comical dumb guy.
I think they were saying he's mentally handicapped.
There you go. They just did it because the puppet came out looking really fucked up, which is I don't know, but there's still some classics from that movie. Their parody of Rent. Everyone has AIDS.
Also, yeah, come on, AIDS jokes. Are we really that?
Well, that's what Rent is about, because everyone has AIDS.
Oh, really?
That's a good criticism of Rent, though, because Rent uses AIDS as a cheap device to gain sympathy.
So Rent is not about like paying rent or living in an apartment or.
It is about paying rent, but it's also about AIDS. Have you not seen Rent? Have you never interacted with Rent before?
No, how am I supposed to see Rent? Go to Broadway? What are you talking about?
You can see the movie.
There's a movie version?
There's a movie with most of the original cast, including the wonderful Idina Menzel.
Edema?
Edema. I have pulmonary edema Menzel. Let it go. Let it go. My left arm's very numb.
Ain't that America?
Ain't that America?
It's Happy 4th of July from our house to yours. Our house is, of course, House of Decline. Welcome to the show. It's 4th of July, COVID times 2. Second COVID 4th of July. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but this time is milder because people are vaccinated. They're getting out of their hidey holes. Things are looking up for the old US of A again.
Yeah, we're finally back on top, and this country, this is an episode that's going to celebrate all the good things of this country and none of the bad things, because number one, there aren't any bad things, and
no bad things about America.
No bad things. And number two is, let's go through some of the good things we did. As I said on Twitter, we invented the electric guitar and the electronic synthesizer. So there's one good thing.
Who are we taking? Who's taking credit?
Robert Moog and
Moog.
And then the guy that invented the electric guitar was also American.
I think that's more of a win, less for Americans than for autistic people.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's like, I wouldn't, they're not, if Robert Moog was to pledge allegiance to any group, I'm sure it would be the neurodivergent dot P.
No, he probably played the whatever, what's our national anthem called again? I forget.
The star-striped boogity boy.
It's all spackled. The spackled.
The cum spackled bear.
The cum spackled rag.
The cum spackled rag. Oh, come on this rag, you old scurrilous fag. Sorry. I'm gay, I can say it.
Yeah, you're gay. You can say the F word.
Yeah.
And I can, the only word I get to say is cracker.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Everyone gets to say cracker, though, so that's not fun.
I can say Al Cappuccino. That's not a slur, but it's like slur adjacent.
Al Cappuccino?
Yeah.
Like you're making fun of Al Pacino's name?
Yeah, but with delicious coffee.
Oh, delicious milk and coffee on top of that's the premise of Jack and Jill, is they're doing the Dunkachino with Al Pacino. Mm-hmm. That's you have broached Adam Sandler levels of humor, which, as we all know, is very powerful.
Yeah.
To be fair, people will say that all Adam Sandler movies are total dross, and if you say that, oh, I like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, you're misremembering, because those movies are obviously problematic and terrible. But now I revisited them recently. Is pretty. They're funny. They're funny, man.
I remember
they got some funny elements in them.
I remember I had a fun time on the bus back in middle school because one of the rich kids got like maybe one of the first portable DVD players I'd ever seen back probably like 2002, 2003. Mm-hmm. And it was a piece of equipment that could only do one thing. It was just a portable DVD player. There's like nothing else going on with that thing. But he would bring it and watch Billy Madison on the bus like every day after he got, and that's all he would watch. I guess maybe he only had one DVD. And then if people didn't like it, he would punch them. So, yeah, I say Billy Madison is good, but that's just like sort of a Pavlovian response. Because I fear
Doyle rules. Yeah. Billy Madison's good.
I fear I'll get punched if I don't like it.
Oh my God. I mean, Adam Sandler's pro-Israel.
Yeah, so is Seinfeld. That doesn't mean I don't like Seinfeld. That doesn't mean I don't eat my Snickers with a knife and fork.
Have you revisited any of the Seinfelds recently?
Sometimes I'll go on SeinfeldScripts.com and read a script from it just to remind myself.
Really?
Yeah, I did that with the eating Snickers with a knife and fork episode, which is also the episode where Jerry decides to cash all of the checks his nana has sent him for his birthday over the years, and then, and he like overdraws her account, and she has to go to a shady neighborhood to try to take care of it.
Oh, my nana!
Nana's gone missing.
That's pretty funny. Okay, now Seinfeld's pretty good. I'm remembering that in my head movies. It's very funny. But yeah, he's also a Zionist. I've shown you those pictures of him at Zionist fantasy camp, right?
Yeah, he has like the gun. He's like holding a machine gun or something.
Would you look at this machine gun, Elaine? This could blow away 20 Gazans. It's a powerful machine gun, Jerry. Jerry, it's a powerful machine gun.
So in the spirit of "Ain't That America," Pink House's John Mellencamp, here's a little nice line from the first stanza of that great song. And there's a woman in the kitchen cleaning up the evening slop, and he looks at her and says, "Hey, darling, I can remember when you could stop a clock." So that sucks.
It's a little old creepy guy phrase. Hey, good looking. Your ass looks like two Christmas baubles in a shed. Just some weird old creepy guy aphorism.
Oh, ain't that America? And of course, the first stanza is about how a black man has got an interstate running through his front yard, and then it's "Ain't that America?" It's like,
"Ain't that America?"
I mean, right before the show, you said he's like a 2-bit version of Bruce Springsteen, and I guess this is kind of like his Born in the USA, where he's juxtaposing a patriotic chorus often taken out of context with like some of the more shady or bad things that go on in America.
I mean, that's a whole like gigantic genre of music that Rolling Stone loves, is like super Americana rock, which sort of has its roots in Woody Guthrie, because Woody Guthrie has that weird sense of like, even though it's anti-imperialist, it has this homegrown nationalism. It's all about the folksiness and the culture of America, and this land is your land. Which is, that song's pretty ironic in lieu of indigenous peoples. He wasn't thinking too hard about that one, old Woody Guthrie. It should be called "This Land Is Their Land."
Ooh. Well,
fuck you, Woody. You weren't woke enough for us.
Canceled. Damn.
Woody Guthrie is "This machine kills fascists." Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, an acoustic guitar kills fascists. Fuck you.
Whoa, dude. Off. I mean, it kind of does it. I mean, that's an interesting proposition, that the culture is enough to withstand the lure of a fascist state where you have a managed economy to the point that certain ethnicities are enslaved and forced into labor. So is that enough? Is a Woody Guthrie song enough to keep that from happening? Clearly, it's not.
Well, the problem is I do have this theory, but it's not Woody Guthrie songs. It's not like high-minded, spiritually encouraging poetic shit that you get people's running. It's dreck. It's absolute fucking trash. It's like shit like Uncle Tom's Cabin, like fucking sentimental treacly bullshit that gets people into enough of a tizzy that they're like willing to go to war over it. Or fucking Glee, objectively terrible show, but probably did more to get more people on board with like at least white gay men than any other thing before it.
So you don't like Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Well, no, I do like Uncle Tom's Cabin. I think historically, it's like, but like most people, it's not a great written book. It's a pretty, I don't know. I've never read it.
Okay.
I'm just going.
I have only read about it.
I have only read about it. I've never read it. But allegedly it's supposed to be not very good, right?
The last thing I read about it was that it took the country by storm. So
yeah,
it's kind of like saying Taylor Swift isn't very good or the Beatles aren't very good. It's like, well, it became a phenomenon that swept the country. Good and bad are no longer really what you need to say about it because it had a huge effect on the country pre-Civil War.
That is definitely an example of something in culture that definitely noticeably affected hearts and minds. Like, the other thing I can think of recently is, I don't know, Top Gun getting people to join the fucking Air Force or something like that. Like, I think Top Gun had more of an effect on the hearts and minds of people than Woody Guthrie.
Wow. Not in some places. One of the interesting things that happened when I moved upstate New York in like 2007 was how everyone kind of was worshiping Pete Seeger.
They love him. He's a river protector over there.
Yeah, and I had never heard of Pete Seeger. So I was naturally immediately suspicious because like if I haven't heard of something, I'm like, it probably is not good. I'm not like that anymore. Now I'm excited when I haven't heard of something. Now I love it. I had a great time before the show today. A couple of hours ago, a Twitter mutual posted a really long list of songs. He made a playlist for Spotify, and we share a lot of the same genre likes. So I went through, found about 30 albums and songs that I'd never heard, downloaded them all, and now I got a whole long list of things to listen through, so I'm stoked. One of the ones is Band of Susans.
Band of Susans?
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
What's their deal?
They are like kind of in the genre of no wave, but noise. Oh wait, no, they're not. Well, they're really inspired by Rhys Chatham, the guitar player.
Oh, okay.
Like Glenn Branca.
I love Rhys Chatham.
Yeah, he's like the better Glenn Branca.
Oh, shots fired.
Well, he's the more unknown version, which makes him better because he's like more unknown. They're both doing stuff like guitar music for trio, and it's where we turn it up all the way. And we're from New York, but we speak like this, and you listen to the timbres of your eardrums breaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Band of Susans, they do some Rhys Chatham covers. The album recommendation is The Word and the Flesh. It's a good album by Band of Susans. Yeah, check it out.
Band of Susans. Are they American?
Yeah.
Good. See, America's great.
America theme.
We have Band of Susans. America invented Band of Susans. America invented Rhys Chatham.
Yeah.
Wait, is America invented Glenn Branca?
Yeah.
America invented not only the electric guitar, but a guy who said, "What if we got 100 of them?
Yeah.
What if we did 100 of them?" because that was Glenn Branca's innovation, is he was like, electric guitar is like a bullshit instrument for babies. It's not taken seriously. But if we got a lot of them, then people will take us seriously.
Well, one good thing that I like about America is the kind of like the hobo artist trope that continues on to this day of like the person who hops freight trains and scrawls in a notebook and invents crazy instruments. Kind of like Harry Partch is like an example of one such kind of guy.
Well, because, there is a troubadour archetype, but there is like a specific like type of weirdo. I guess that is the type of Americana I like. Not only Harry Partch, but I'm thinking of also Moondog as well. Moondog is a good example of that type of guy. Like some sort of outsider that has his own unique approach and, creates his own musical structure out of whole cloth. Not unlike Mormonism, how Mormonism is just this, weirdo homegrown because of this like intense cultural optimism. People are like, I'm going to create my own religion and get people in it, and it's going to be better than regular Christianity, even though it's going to be similar to regular Christianity. I'm Joseph Smith, goddammit.
Please do the rest of the show in that accent.
Do the rest of the voice in the rapid mid-Atlantic radio announcer accent.
I don't think I can swing that one.
You can't do the old mid-Atlantic accent? Well, you're 3 crabs short of a shekel. And I tell you what there, sir.
You're 3 crabs short of a shekel. Well, I can kind of do it. I don't know. It's hard.
You got a penis shorter than the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. And it breaks just as easily, too.
It collapses under the weight of nothing. Just the wind's enough to collapse your tiny little penis.
Oh, boy. It's going down like the Titanic. That's what I said about eating pussy. It was a Titanic pussy.
Did you watch in like science class the video of that bridge collapse?
The Tacoma Narrows Bridge?
Yeah, we watched it.
Yeah, it's a classic science video.
What about cane toads? Did you watch that movie?
Oh, like how cane toads are overtaking Australia because they're like the big toads and they're local fauna.
They fuck everything
to deal with.
Yeah, the thing about cane toads is they're constantly procreating. Right, that's why they overtake. And there's the great, cheers went up in the classroom when the cane toad was trying to have sex with the dead cane toad on the road. Everyone was like, yes!
Terrible, just 20 terrible teenage boys going, yeah, necrophilia toad. Mm-hmm. And your Catholic science teacher going, you scamps.
Oh, the science teachers, I mean, all the teachers hated our class because we were so disruptive. I mean, I don't know what was going on. There was something about our class and the class above us that we were so unruly. But yeah, it was chaos all the time.
There were just like a lot of problem students that would get in the way of stuff.
I mean, it's more like we were pretty dedicated to mischief and pranks. And it was the only time we really had like class unity, which was a theme that they tried to push down our throats. But the only time we weren't at each other's throats was when we were doing pranks, not really sophisticated pranks. But the best one was we put the teacher's desk on the roof, which took class unity.
Yeah, that actually. I mean, that's like the classic thing of the utility of having a boss. Is that it unites people against you. You know, that's a theory of why management is necessary. That's a theory of why hierarchical management is necessary, because people don't get along unless there's fucking, did you see Henry Winkler tweeted out the Ozymandias shit?
Yeah.
Henry Winkler tweeted out, we won't come together in unity unless there's some sort of cataclysmic event that unites us. So yeah, that's a general theory that people are united against a shared enemy or a goal against destruction.
Yeah, just like how when the Visigoths invaded Rome, the Rome united and then became more powerful than ever.
Exactly. Just like America when they were, a bunch of colonies united against their shared hatred of the British.
And getting out of taxes, which is that's the real theme of America is how can we get out of these taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why whenever someone lowers taxes, they're just participating in the American tradition. You can't criticize them. That's what the country was founded on.
Yeah, and even if it was, the thing about, like, the taxes thing is, even if it was a bad person who lowered the taxes, that doesn't mean when the good person comes back in that you get to raise them. And like we saw, when Bush did his tax lowering, Obama had to keep it. Trump did his tax lowering, and now Biden has to keep it. They don't they technically. Well, actually, no, they couldn't. They couldn't raise it right now, even if they wanted to. But I don't think they want to.
Do you ever find it funny? Have we ever commented on this? That it's funny how the vision of some anarchists accidentally ends up looping around to Thomas Jefferson's idea of liberty being like yeoman farmers.
We commented on this. We did.
Yeah, but I still find that fascinating because in my head, I sort of fetishize the idea of, living off the land and, obviously the yeoman farmers thing is bullshit when you realize Thomas Jefferson understood that to mean, and you own a couple of people as well.
Yeah.
Like, you would phase that out, but you would still have, like, indentured servants, which are cool.
Well, actually, they got rid of indentured servants. He probably... they got rid of indentured servants like before the Constitution. I'm pretty sure
interesting.
I think I was just reading the introduction to a history book where he mentions like they were quick to get rid of indentured servitude, but then slavery remained.
Yeah. Well, because indentured servants, they could rely on the social construct of racism to justify slavery.
Yeah, I mean, indentured servitude could happen to anybody also, so they were like, oh no, not me.
But yeah, in their mind, someone like Thomas Jefferson, I think very much understood the hypocrisy of all men created equal and owning slaves. I think he was smart enough to know that shit, but...
Yeah, he was like
tamp it down.
He had a lot of inner conflict. He was like...
No, he wasn't a good guy, but he wasn't like... He did have self-awareness.
It's hard. That's the thing where, like, good and bad, you can't... It's like... okay, you think he's a bad guy.
Owning and raping slaves. Nah, I'm like, I know it's the style of the time, but I'm going to say that's just bad. That's like...
I know, but what I'm saying is that's an irrelevant thing to say, because it's like... It's a historical figure now. Good or bad imparts no real understanding of who he was and the effect that he had.
Yeah, well, maybe it's important to say that it's like Jefferson was not good or bad because, we can't ascribe any of that. But you can just say his actions of owning and raping people were definitely bad.
Yeah, he did bad things.
Yeah, but as, ascribing like a general character to a person who is, throughout their life multitudes of things and, whose effects reverberate throughout the universe and in countless unknowable ways, you can't ascribe, a single quality to a person.
But like, it's like saying like, oh, this one king in the Middle Ages was bad. Because he killed all the serfs one time.
I generally agree. As you get further from a historical event and it lapses into myth or into not myth, but into that weird memory zone where you're not quite sure how it actually happened and no one can really be sure how it happened.
Yeah, but if you go back far enough, every major person in history has done things that we consider bad now. So.
Oh yeah, but maybe it's fine to maybe everybody was bad.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
the conclusion
that's what I've been saying this whole time.
Yeah,
that's generally the position of. I don't know, people who are not progressive. That
maybe there hasn't been a good person yet.
No, yeah, I don't think it's possible. There aren't any good people really, because we're all sinners. We all have original sin.
There you go. And we're Catholic. We're back to our Calvinist roots. Well, Calvinism was Protestant, but
there was one interesting religious idea I came across. Did I talk about annihilationism on the show yet?
No, bring it. I haven't heard that.
Okay, annihilationism is the idea that your soul does not burn in hell for eternity if you're bad.
Yeah.
Instead, God just destroys your soul when you die. And that's what happens.
That's interesting. That's very similar to sort of like Hans Christian Andersen's vision of souls in The Little Mermaid. Because you know the original horrifying story of The Little Mermaid?
Where she like, I don't know, like mutates, like gives birth to a horrifying instead the mermaid is a fish head with human legs.
It's a reverse mermaid, and it's a Shadow over Innsmouth situation, and, you know, Prince Eric goes insane realizing he's a part fish person, and, you know.
Maybe someone who appears completely human except they have gills and they just immediately, like, suffocate.
Yeah, that would be terrifying. You just see a person with gills washed up on the beach going... Mm-hmm. In Hans Christian Andersen's version, mermaids live long lives, like 200, 250 years, but when they die, they just turn into sea foam, and they don't have souls. They don't ascend to God's eternal heaven. So in the Little Mermaid, in the original story, she falls in love with a human, and in order to get legs, she does make a bargain with a sea witch. But in the book, it's commented how she dances beautifully, but dancing is like dancing on knives for her. And eventually the human she falls in love with another person. But because she devoted herself to him and sacrifices herself for him, she eventually goes on to become like the West Wind or something. She essentially gains a soul through devotional romantic love, which is, you know, a very... Earning a soul that's a really interesting concept. Like, is that a Christian concept? Do you earn your soul, or do you because Christians believe you're given a soul?
You're born with it. Yeah, you get it. You get it right away. You get it at some point during pregnancy. Most think like right away during after
first trimester.
Like after right when the sperm meets the egg.
Yeah, that's a soul, baby.
Then it creates,
that's where the soul
creates
comes
some
from.
kind of soul spark, and it's...
Yeah, it creates the all spark like in Transformers.
There's like a sizzling noise, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever conceived a child, but what happens? There's like a sizzling noise. You hear like you smell toast. Everything goes black, like your eyes kind of fade, and then you kind of wake up hours later. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, you know how like every time you orgasm, you smell toast, and then
you wake up hours later.
And you wake up hours later, and you're like missing your kidney.
Yeah, you've got spaghetti on your face.
That's totally normal, right?
But so people who back to annihilationism, do people who advocate it say that there's nothing in the Bible that actually states that God burns your soul in hell forever. And they're right. There's nothing really in the Bible that says that you're going to burn in hell forever, and God's like some kind of torture guy who's torturing you. And every so often there's people who are advocating for it. I think notably the Seventh-day Adventists believe in annihilationism. They're maybe one of the only denominations that actually has it as a tenet. But some Anglicans have advocated for it, and it makes a lot of sense to me, because why would God torture someone forever? It seems like he would probably just, put you out of your misery.
Well, if you have like a merciful conception of God, I mean, it's interesting because the whole like torture for eternity thing, that's like supposed to motivate people to get into the religion, because it's like the Pascal's wager thing. It's like, look, even if there's like a 1 in a billion chance this is true, like you wouldn't want to be tortured for eternity. Like hell is like it's like negative reinforcement for believing in God. That's sort of its utility.
Right.
But annihilationism is sort of interesting because it posits that no, actually it's if you're a bad person, it's not so bad. You just have non-existence, which is objectively worse than having an eternal soul.
Right. Exactly. And so, the annihilationists and the normies,
the norms,
often argue about whether or not the soul is eternal. And that's another way of talking about it. That's maybe the words are less scary. So you'll hear the debate about whether or not the soul is eternal.
I sort of believe, like, in the Bart sells his soul thing. I think it's sort of like, I think you do kind of earn your soul. I don't think babies have souls.
Wow.
I think you have to.
Well, then why do you care about the residential schools? Seriously, you can't say that.
Look, souls don't actually exist. There is no such thing as a soul. It's all the meat is the soul. The meat is the soul. It's all your spirituality doesn't necessarily have to come outside the material world. I always believe that the idea that we separate the spiritual and material is always a strange thing. I'm really big into collapsing stuff. You've seen me recently. I've argued that there's no difference between romantic and platonic love. And I'm collapsing love. I'm collapsing everything. I don't think I'm collapsing the spiritual and material. There's no distinction between it. The meat
I
runs
think that's
through
called
with the
Gnosticism.
electricity. Is that Gnosticism?
I think so.
No, Gnosticism is something different. Gnosticism is a belief that comes from some sort of faith-based place, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's coming from a faith-based place, but it's about
faith-based place.
This
is a faith-based place.
About the distinction between the material and the spiritual universe, and they. Like Gnostics are like people who are like God lives inside like every one of us in a certain way. Like we have a part of God in us. They'll also often say that nature, you'll experience God in nature. Like God is in the trees or God is in the animals. Those are Gnostics.
I mean, that's what like fucking Matt Christman is talking about Gnosticism all the time. And I think he's like a big Gnosticism booster because I think it dovetails with Marxism, right? The idea that, materialist analysis like logically, if you're trying to construct a metaphysical analysis on top of Marxism, it follows that everything springs from the material. Everything springs from your atomic construction.
Your jizz.
Everything springs from the relationship between atoms bumping into each other, and nothing more.
Jizz on everything.
Yeah. That's
everything. When you're just everything's springing forth, everything is being ejaculated.
Yes, we ejaculate into the universe. That's a very dude oriented. What if you had more of a yonic conception of the universe, and we're always catching? Everybody's always catching.
It would be cool to jack off in space.
Yeah. You're in the International Space Station with the gravity turned off and there's a hole in your condom.
Okay,
No, I'm sorry. My cum is floating around ISS.
They don't have a gravity turn off function.
They turn off the gravity and the cum splatters.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. But
Yuri's face.
But it would be cool if it did exist.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine snowballing in space?
It's easier. So many sex moves, so many like outlandish, only in porn sex moves are easier in space because like you're floating and it's like
full range of 3-dimensional movement.
Yeah, there's probably some new ones that we haven't even thought of. Maybe Bezos is going up there to research space sex.
Different sex positions, Cosmo in space. Your man will go wild when you do a clavicle deep knee bend on his taint area.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos and 5 children are all going up in space. Don't leave them alone with the billionaire.
Look, it's not a sex thing. He just needs their blood.
Yeah, it's just for rejuvenation.
Yeah. They're hooked up to him like an octopus. It just looks like an octopus with 5 kids just exchanging blood with him constantly.
The kids are like their skin is shrinking and they're getting like literally sucked dry.
Yeah, they look like the children from Akira. They look like the wrinkled, depleted psychic children from Akira.
I haven't seen Akira in a very long time.
You haven't seen Akira?
You didn't in a very long time. Okay. I have seen it.
Okay.
Listen to our anime episode again if you want proof that I've seen it.
I've seen it.
Akira.
Dun, Dong, 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 dong. That's a moment in Akira. The soundtrack is very good.
Speaking of crazy religious groups, I found a funny one called the Christadelphians.
The Christadelphians? Yeah. Do they like Chris Delia? Do they worship Chris? Hey, no, it's Chris Delia. I'm here. I started a religion. It's based around rape.
Yeah, it developed in the 19th century around the teachings of Chris Delia.
Geez, when you do a mentally handicapped voice in front of people and Justin Bieber likes you a lot, but then you send a Snapchat to a girl and she's like, you raped me, bro. And you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm Chris Delia.
I don't know. They were just one of these American religions that started by some guy.
Christadelphians?
Yeah, just
so like Christ Brothers?
This guy was in a shipwreck and had a crazy time in a shipwreck and then made his way to Philadelphia and then was like, I'm going to start my own religion and it's going to be called Christadelphians.
Hell yeah.
And they, I don't know.
Philly Christians. We're a bunch of Philly Christians.
They're like a gang.
We're going to beat the shit out of you if you don't acknowledge the Lord.
Yeah. They're a violent gang.
Fuck you. Bad things happen with Christadelphians. Go Eagles.
Here's a nice thing about the Christadelphians.
That's not how Philadelphians talk. How did Philly talk? Go Eagles.
During the Second World War, Christadelphians in Britain assisted in the Kindertransport, helping to relocate several hundred Jewish children away from Nazi persecution.
Oh, hell yeah, Christadelphians.
Wow.
They just went up in my book.
They're a good gang. Good gang of guys.
These Jews are having a real hard time in Europe. Go Eagles. Go Roethlisberger. You Jews are going to come here down to Philly. The Christadelphians are going to sell you back home. Go Jews, okay? Yeah. That's not how they talk either. I do a really bad Philly accent. I can't do it.
Oh, and so they're annihilationists. Hell is not.
They're also annihilationists.
Yeah, hell is not a place of eternal torment, but it is a state of non-being.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty bad to those people. Non-existence is a punishment to these people, right?
Well, I guess it's because the alternative is eternal chilling with your dude God.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty, it's an easier way to square, a merciful God. If you really believe that God was merciful, than if, you were, a sinner that doesn't get to participate in the kingdom of heaven, then, simple non-existence seems like a pretty good deal as the alternative.
There's also, I don't know what it's called, there's also the school of thought that just everybody goes to heaven.
That's fucked up.
Why? I like that
Hitler.
One. Everybody. Doesn't matter.
I'm here too, but I'm nice now. It's okay.
I guess it would be sort of like your soul is actually different from the things that you do on Earth, because Earth is a place of sin, and when you die, God just scrubs that dirty soul off and plops you down in heaven, and everything's gonna be fine.
What's the belief that I kind of if I had in my general metaphysical patchwork, one of the things that I always really liked was the idea that we're all just each other's reincarnation. We're all just the same soul. We're just in different forms. We're just clones. In different containers. Well, no, it's not that we're clones. It's that when you die, you'll be reincarnated as a 15th century weirdo. And then when that 15th century weirdo dies, they'll be reincarnated as a 21st century asshole. And then when that asshole dies, it'll turn into me. So you and me, because, the way that souls can network through time is nonlinear and I don't know what I'm saying. But the idea that we're all the same soul reincarnating into each other eternally, we're all the same person.
That seems gay.
It's pretty gay.
I don't want to be...
This seems very gay.
I don't want to be you. I'm me. Hey, what do you mean I'm you?
Yeah. But I did some mushrooms. I did acid, that whole, eternal unity, we're all the same thing. If I were to investigate my feelings, that's sort of what's true. The idea that we are separate entities really... is a fiction that is necessary to our existence in these imperfect vessels.
Damn. I did not think about that stuff on acid or mushrooms. I thought, like, this is what I was thinking. I'd stare in the mirror and I'd be like, how come you always want to be the blue Power Ranger? Why don't you be the red Power Ranger for once?
The blue Power Ranger was gay, and he was tormented on set by the horrible crew members.
Is that why he was? Is that why they made him, like, in that show, like a beta male?
I don't know. I don't know why David Yost was. I guess Billy was the beta.
Yeah.
But I always identified with Billy because he was the nerd character, right?
And me too.
And Triceratops was the coolest dinosaur.
Right.
That was my favorite. That I liked the most.
That was my favorite dinosaur too.
There we go. We're finding out so much. We're both Billy heads.
Wow. But when I took acid, maybe not the first time, but maybe the first time by myself, I was in you remember that the big red dorm on North Campus? What was that one called? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I was in. Start with an O. I don't remember. I was in the bathroom there, staring at the mirror.
No. Olin?
No, that was like a building for classes.
You're right.
I don't know what it was.
You were staring in a mirror.
Staring in a mirror in the bathroom, just being
generally
like,
a no-no. You're not supposed to look into mirrors on psychedelics. That's like, you're gonna have a bad time, man.
I had a great time. I thought I realized I could be the red Power Ranger.
You could be Tommy. No, not Tommy. It was Jason. Jason was the red Power Ranger.
You get Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus Rex could be my favorite dinosaur.
I feel like if T-Rex is your favorite dinosaur, that's like the Yankees being your favorite baseball team. You know, what are you doing, man? You're rooting for the winners.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I was a Patriots fan. I'm still a Patriots fan, but now that Tom Brady's gone, what's the point? But it's fun to be a fan of winners.
Yeah, it is fun to be a fan of winners because it also pisses people off. I mean, that's the reason I don't follow sports, but I know about sports because I follow people that follow sports, and when they get very disappointed, I lap up their tears of rejection. Like, it's great being... I'm not a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but I'm a fan of Toronto Maple Leafs fans because I stew in their misery.
What about the Montreal team?
Oh, they did real bad. They got it to the finals, and then they're screwing the pooch.
Oh,
but
so
I don't know if they've officially lost yet.
It's the finals right now?
It's the Stanley Cup Finals right now. It's Montreal versus the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, I love when Tampa Bay is in for hockey.
Tampa, they've had consistently good teams over the years.
I mean, there should not be a hockey rink in Tampa. It's like an anomaly.
I think that's real funny. I think we're gonna go to the hockey game and then to a strip club. We're gonna go to a Lightning game.
It's just like giving the middle finger to climate change. Is having the Tampa Bay hockey team winning the Stanley Cup. It's like, we had the ice on low. The entire time, climate change, Tampa Bay won every year until the fucking world fell apart.
Oh, yeah. No, we needed our winter facilities in Tampa.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Good for Tampa. I'm sorry about the Canadiens.
The Habs. The Habs, they call them.
Le Canadiens, I believe.
Le Canadien.
Also, this actually reminds me, we should do a French podcast. Maybe next week. Is a week enough time for you to prepare?
Like a podcast about French?
No.
About French Canada?
A podcast entirely in French.
Yeah, that'll be good. We'll get a lot of listeners.
Let's try. Maybe we can let's try to do a whole podcast in French.
Yeah, it's just us. We should just read Asterix and Cleopatra and do all the voices, and can send our followers a link so that they can follow along. I'm sure everyone will love it.
That'd be pretty good. I would listen to.
You would listen to, or we should do one of the more racist Tintins. We should read through one of the more racist Tintins.
I mean, if we put classical music under it, it won't come across that way, and
you're right.
It would sound nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it would sound nice. Is that Tintin where they go, "Oh les noirs, oh les noirs, les noirs." Fuck.
Good old Tintin.
Hergé. I mean, that's the thing about Tintin. It was originally published in a Catholic fascist newspaper, like a pro-fascist newspaper.
Wow, really?
Eventually, Hergé evolved over time. But yeah, Tintin started out real conservative.
Wow, why did my parents give me all the Tintin books then? What the fuck?
Because the thing is the beautifully written adventures that anyone can enjoy, and Hergé's L'Agne Claire style is
Is that why I'm so fucked up though? Because all I read was Tintin growing up.
The thing is, there was this Twitter prompt that people were doing that I responded to is, what is the best piece of right-wing art? And you could do a joke answer like all art since 1920 because it promotes the status quo, which is generally right-wing or whatever. But my answer was Karl Barks's Donald Duck cartoons, which if you've never read through Karl Barks's old retinue of Donald Duck cartoons, they're beautiful and majestic and just created so much sequential art language. They're incredibly important and they stand the test of time in terms of really just conveying things in an economical but inventive and creative fashion. I can't recommend the Karl Barks Donald Duck comics highly enough, but they are extremely, extremely conservative because Karl Barks was a weird libertarian crank.
And when were these being published?
I think it was from the 50s. No, yeah, 50s up until the 80s. I would say.
Okay, well, that's...
But constantly, he was just churning out these comics for 30 years, huge amounts, which is also not only is the quality of the comics impressive, but the quantity as well. Like someone you really respect is this workhorse, this guy that just drew ducks for 30 years and didn't focus on anything else. But, when you generate that much material, weird stuff happens, like how Karl Barks accidentally invented a way to raise sunken ships. Because in a comic, Donald and the nephews, they want to raise a sunken ship, so they fill it with ping pong balls. And the ping pong balls raise the ship to the surface. Turned out, this actually works, and they used it one time to raise a sunken ship. And wow. Karl Barks just pulled that out of his ass. And just because he was like, I need an idea for an adventure comic. I know ping pong balls. That's silly. But one comic is called a financial fable, and that's all about how inflation sucks and how the Fed shouldn't print money. It's literally about that.
Well,
because it involves a magic coin that doubles automatically, and so there's free money everywhere. And so the town is in chaos because there's rapid inflation, and a muffin costs $1 million now.
I think the effects of inflation are hidden by our imperialism. So passing off inflation as if it doesn't exist and have negative consequences by leftists, I find to be highly problematic because my view is what we do is we punish other countries when we have inflation, and we use extracting wealth from them as a way to bring it back down.
That is a canny point, but I don't think that's what Karl Barks was getting at. He was getting more at we can't give money to the poor or else terrible consequences will happen.
Yeah. I mean, if we were an isolationist country, then we would have to worry more about inflation. But since we have a economic empire, we don't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other thing, I mean, that's probably not a charitable reading. I'm sure, Karl Barks is probably softer than that, but definitely right-wing. The material is definitely... But the reason why I was talking about Karl Barks is because also built into it is this sort of colonialism. Because Donald and the nephews are always going on adventures to wild lands with, strange native peoples, and they're always getting into trouble with these guys. And so, evidently, there's a sort of we can go anywhere and take whatever we want attitude that is present in that, which, I'm sure was unexamined in Karl Barks' mind. It's that old Indiana Jones, this belongs in a museum thing. It's like, No, Indiana, it belongs right there, you fucking creep.
This belongs in a museum in America.
That's fucked up. That's like Indiana Jones's line for everything.
My dad...
The natives trying to kill Indiana Jones were totally right.
Yeah, you root for the natives, and he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking Belloc was right, maybe. No, Belloc wasn't right. He teamed up with the Nazis.
My favorite piece of right-wing art is John Mouse.
He's good.
Yeah.
I like his woogly synth music.
Oh, he has an amazing collection of vintage synths.
Yeah.
No digital synths for this guy. He's got a great collection of vintage synths. So, and his albums are a little like inaccessible sometimes, but worth a listen.
Is it the greatest right-wing art, though? Is it explicitly? I wouldn't even call John Mouse explicitly right-wing.
I thought the prompt was your favorite.
Oh, your favorite.
Yeah, your favorite.
I guess it could be your favorite.
He's my favorite right-wing art. That's true.
That is true. The other reason why I bring up Karl Barks's oeuvre is because going back to Hergé was also pretty nakedly colonialist in a lot of the early Tintins. But it is weird how he evolved, because when you get to like the final Tintin's book, Tintin and the Picaros, he's essentially supporting an almost Castro-like coup in Central America, like Tintin's old friend General Alcazar, who is said to represent the interests of the people more than his opposing military junta. It's weird that he's friends with General Alcazar. Just this little boy from Belgium is friends with this.
I always thought of Tintin as like as not a boy, but as like an adult.
Yeah,
I didn't conceive, and I guess he is young, but I always thought of him as this older guy.
The perfect casting for Tintin now. You know how they made that terrible CGI Tintin movie?
Yeah.
Which they cast, I forget what's his name. They cast Billy Elliot as Tintin.
Really? It was probably wasn't it the guy that played Gollum?
Andy Serkis. Yeah. Andy Serkis was Captain Haddock in it, yes. And I don't know how they got it so Uncanny Valley-y, but they did. And it was unwatchable as a result of that. But you know who I think should play Tintin?
Who?
Elliot Page. Elliot Page for Tintin. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Okay.
You can't stop it. I'm sure he's gonna love it. I'm sure he's gonna agree to it.
Why do you dangle these things in front? What are you doing to me?
What, this landmine of Elliot Page Tintin, this landmine of potential awful things that you can say.
Okay, yeah. It's like, ooh, that sounds like a good idea. I endorse it.
There you go. Yeah, Tintin, a lot of it does not hold up. Like, if you've ever read Tintin au Congo, extremely racist. Even later Tintins are like Tintin and the Red Sea Sharks. It has like a sequence where he meets a bunch of black people on a boat who are getting enslaved, and they're all idiots, and all they can say, no, we're good Muslims, we go to Mecca. You know, that's all they say. And
yeah, the French, you shouldn't really go to the French for your most things, actually.
Tintin, however, notably was not racist to Asians. That was a thing, because Hergé had a Chinese roommate who was pretty influential on him. And so early in Tintin's life, even in The Blue Lotus, which is pretty racist towards Asians, you do have, uncharacteristic for that time, a very sympathetic and endearing Asian character in Chang, who later comes up again in Tintin in Tibet, which is a beautiful book, wonderful, amazing, astonishing, everyone acknowledges it as one of the great pieces of comic literature, as it should be. Because it really treats its Asian characters with a lot of humanity. Also, uncharacteristic for like a weird fascist Belgian. So, I think, Hergé's career is really interesting if you want to see a guy evolve from being very problematic to not so problematic over the course of time.
He's the French Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, Belgian Dr. Seuss.
No. I'm not. No, I meant what I said.
It's all the same.
I don't have to acknowledge Belgium.
God, Flemish Twitter is going to come for us.
I am a member of the biggest empire that the face of this earth has ever seen, and if I choose to ignore it, European country, they had better beg for my recognition. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm.
Something I will say that America is good is the Jews really did good in America. We really got a leg up here. We really got a foot in the door. That's why Israel, it was just extraneous. We have to kill a whole nother group of indigenous people to get land? No, they already did it for us. And it's the land that's made for us. It's showbiz land. Everyone's doing shows from New York to LA. It's shows. That's our bit, baby. We're performers. We're performing religion.
No,
that's why we sing Kaddishes all the time.
You and Mel Brooks. There's like two guys.
No, all the if you've ever met a Jew that can't perform, sad tale. Sad tale,
I think I have.
You've met a totally serious non-performing Jewish man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There you go. No, all of us, we're like sleeper cells, You just have to say the right word, and then we are instantly vaudeville. We just start tap dancing.
I guess if I had been like, "Can you explain this chess move?" He would have set him off. This particular guy I'm thinking about.
Well, here you go with a knight's gambit, and then you start here. He would have explained chess in a very entertaining way. No, obviously, actually, I was going to use the example of Ben Shapiro, but that's not even true. His whole deal is that he's a failed screenwriter.
Right.
His whole gag is that he wanted to write for the movies, and that he couldn't, so he just became a right-wing polemic machine.
Yeah. Has he been up to no good lately?
He's always, I don't know what he's doing. He runs, the Daily Wire is fucking huge, he's always relevant, but because and you can make fun of him however he wants for being short or obnoxious or evil, which is like the main thing. But the Daily Wire is fucking huge. It's this gigantic news network of awfulness, and he built it up on the strength of this terrible persona that whatever else, he is able to give the impression that he is the smartest guy in the room. Right?
Maybe that's why he's going to be our first. He's going to be our first Jewish president.
Look, maybe. There is a non-0% chance that Ben Shapiro could be the first Jewish president. You could say he's really unlikable. But as we've shown, you only need 25% of the American population to win an election. That's it. And 25% of Americans probably could be won over to the idea that Ben Shapiro is some sort of boy genius,
Yeah, well, he tweeted for the 4th of July that he tweeted the first two paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence and then said that it comes from Judeo-Christian values.
Judeo-Christian. That's been his bit for a while now.
Yeah, he's just trying to get himself in the good graces of the conservatives by saying Judeo-Christian over and over again.
Well, yeah, because the Christians...
Like we're gonna forget.
It's not the same thing. You killed him. Yeah. You killed him, bro. Judeo-Christian. Yeah. In that hyphen should be a cross, because that's where it separates.
He's such a weird guy, because if the things he wants to happen start happening, he's not going to be we're not going to put him on the boat.
Yeah, he reminds me of that little Weasley guy in The Mummy, who helps Imhotep along, and he Man, the Mummy's weird now that I think about it. He starts saying Hebrew, and then the Mummy recognizes it as the language of the slaves, and so that he takes him in. That's wow. Pretty coded. That's pretty fucked up.
I remember growing up, I had a
Benny.
friend.
The character's name is Benny. Oh my god, that's a really anti-Semitic character.
This is The Mummy with Brendan Fraser?
Yeah, the Brendan Fraser mummy.
I have a kind of funny story. Growing up, I had a best friend who will not be named because it's embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
He's definitely not listening to this.
He's gay.
No, he's not gay, but he had a hard relationship with his dad because his dad was really hard on him, and like his dad wanted him to be a sports player, but my friend was more of like a computer game bookish kind of guy, but he went along with it anyway, but he was always disappointing his dad, and we turned on The Mummy, and I think I was like 11. And his dad was like, "Oh, The Mummy! I wanted to watch this," and I would wanted to watch it, so we were watching it. But my friend was too scared, and he was like hiding under a blanket.
It's pretty scary.
And his dad like yelled at him and made him go to bed. And then I stayed up late watching The Mummy with my friend's dad, and we had a great time.
I wish you could have been my son.
Right? I felt bad, but. That
happened to me.
Yeah.
Growing up, I had a friend who, like, I did better in school than he did, and I was at his house, and his parents would awkwardly say, "Oh, I wish my son would do as smart as you."
Oh, God.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck do I say to that?
Well, if you're like me, you're like, yeah, I bet.
The Mummy is a scary movie. There's a scene where a guy you see a guy's eyes totally scooped out. That's a pretty scary movie for like a 9-year-old, you know.
I think that was after I had been exposed to Saving Private Ryan, my first R-rated movie. So I was kind of like, whoa, my eyes are open. I
had watched Saving Private Ryan at age 8, and apparently, because my dad was a war nerd, he still is a war nerd, and so... he was like, the son has to see the movie. He needs to know about the sacrifices the brave men made on D-Day.
I think that's what my dad did too, but my dad was more affected by it than I was. He was yelling at the computer. Like, he was like yelling at the guy, because it was this huge thing, because Steven Spielberg went to Normandy. We visited Normandy, and like... Band of Brothers was happening, and we were like big World War II people because I don't know, World War II dominated my dad's life. Because he was a little boy when it was happening. He was like 6, and the entire country changed, and there was food rationing, and he went, and then he simultaneously to that was placed in an orphanage, and was barefoot and had to like pick vegetables.
Jesus Christ!
He is. The reason I still kind of believe that you can do the American dream, you can raise a class status above the one you currently are, is because of his experience. But his experience was he dropped a class status because of the Great Depression, but then came back up. But had to work really hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, the American dream... Like the idea of rags to riches, it does happen anecdotally all the time,
right?
You know,
but why are there rags to begin with? Is the part that's because it's like a cyclical, destructive vortex, and the reason it was rags to riches was because of unfettered capitalism. Yeah,
but I think it's also that Americans like the idea of having a carrot on the stick. I think one of the most American ideas is the idea of an unattainable goal. And, it's no coincidence that Trump's favorite song is that all there is? Is that all there is? Is that all there is, my friend? Let's keep on dancing. Because that is like the really hard, this constant consumption and this constant striving for more wealth that is always out of reach. Like that Greek myth where the guy's constantly trying to eat the grapes, but then they take away the grapes.
You can eat too many grapes. I've been doing that.
But yeah, there's this sort of never enough quality. And I think that is more the American dream. Not so much rags to riches, but you constantly work until you have Citizen Kane levels of wealth, and then you don't stop.
Yeah. I like the American dream ones where it's like, the American dream is a journalist can change the world.
Yeah, I guess.
Those are my favorite genre of American dream.
Yeah, I like it when people that liberal genre of patriotism like Hamilton the musical and stuff like that, or Charlotte Clymer. I'm a trans drone bomber.
These are the kind of people who were doing what's known as yellow journalism and getting us into the Spanish-American War. Mm-hmm. They were doing the sort of jingoistic liberal, like Hamilton and Charlotte Clymer. Mm-hmm. Like Charlotte Clymer was like, I want to, like, the first thing I'm going to do is join the military again. Like, as soon as I'm able, when Biden comes in and lets trans people in the military.
Yeah. Well, because it's also part and parcel to that attitude is imperialism is justified because we are spreading democracy. Like, we can bomb Palestine because, they're so mean to their gays. They're so mean to their trans people.
That's what they were saying about Cuba. They were saying the Spanish Empire was being terrible to Cuba. We have to go help Cuba. And then we do. And then Cuba's ours, and then we own Cuba. And then next thing you know, 60% of Cuba's sugar is being exported to us, and we own all of the sugar plantations.
Are you saying that some of our stated goals of liberation might not be true?
Yeah.
Are you saying we didn't liberate Afghanistan?
No.
Are you saying we didn't liberate Iraq?
No, unfortunately, no. We didn't really... Where did we liberate? Where have we liberated?
We liberated my pussy. We liberated my boy pussy.
We tried to liberate Canada from the French, but you guys refused.
Yeah, we said, non, mais non. 1812 is cool. We burned your White House. We won that war. In the only war Canada and America ever fought, Canada won. And I'm sure if we did it again, we would win again.
Yeah. It wasn't really Canada. When did you...
Yeah.
That was still England. You guys became a country in like 1867, right?
It was Canada. It was Big Dick Isaac Brock in Tecumseh, who was called that because he'd Tecumseh all over your titties.
Okay, but at that point it wasn't Canada. You weren't a country.
There was Ontario existed, and
so that was a colony.
Yeah, we're redcoats. Yeah, but we're like cool Britain. We're like woodsy Britain, where we're like we're not genociding the indigenous people, but we're teaming up with them for a brief period before we genocide them. Actually, we did already genocide them, but there were many alliances out of necessity between indigenous nations, First Nations people, and Canadians. I mean, have you ever heard it's a big thing. It's a big thing they teach in Canadian history class about the relationship between Isaac Brock, who is one of our more unproblematic historical figures, which is why we tend to revere him.
The lead singer of Modest Mouse?
The lead singer of Modest Yahoo, Isaac Brock.
What?
Isaac Brock is, like, from descriptions of him, he's like this, especially like in the 19th century, he's the 6'2" mountain of muscle, like big dick energy, like totally affable, incredibly smart guy, like really gentle too, and like not racist, like pretty, like sort of an anomalous guy, a really anomalous guy for his time. And which is why we devote a lot of time to remembering his stuff.
Okay, he was British though, so
yeah, he was British.
He's not a Canadian or anything.
Yeah, but also famously, which it's turned more into legend because they only met for about like 3 days. But he teamed up with Tecumseh, the famous leader, famous indigenous leader, and they fought the Americans as they tried to invade what was British-controlled Canadian territory.
Yeah, I was seeing in my history book about Tecumseh had a brother who was a prophet.
Ooh.
Tenskwatawa.
You ever heard of the Seven Fires prophecy?
No. Is that a commonly known one in Canada?
It's a pretty spooky prophecy. Because it sort of prophesies the coming of white people. It's a Anishinaabe prophecy.
Is it that the world will burn in fire to pay for the sins of the annihilation of a continent's worth of people, and that's why climate change is happening?
Well, it can be interpreted that way, but the fire is more referred to as eras or sort of like great epochs. You know, And so the fourth fire prophecy was delivered. This is the one that foretells of white people. The fourth fire prophecy was delivered by a pair of prophets. The first prophet said, "You will know the future of our people by the face of the light-skinned race wears. If they come wearing the face of brotherhood, then there will come a time of wonderful change for generations to come. They will bring new knowledge and articles that can be joined with the knowledge of this country. In this way, two nations will join to make a mighty nation. This new nation will be joined by two more, so that four will form the mightiest nation of all. You will know the face of the brotherhood if the light-skinned race comes carrying no weapons, if they come bearing only their knowledge and a handshake." The other prophet said, "Beware if the light-skinned race comes wearing the face of death. You must be careful because the face of brotherhood and the face of death look very much alike. If they come carrying a weapon, beware. If they come in suffering, they could fool you. Their hearts may be filled with greed for the riches of this land. If they are indeed your brothers, let them prove it. Do not accept them in total trust. You shall know that the face they wear is one of death if rivers run with poison and fish become unfit to eat. You shall know them by these many things." So that's some pretty spooky shit,
That's
right?
good. You know, that's good, because we did come with the face of brotherhood, so I'm happy. Good for us.
Nah, I think the other guy. Other guy might have been onto something.
Maybe the prophecy has. Maybe it's still yet to come. You know?
No, I think this one has already occurred because then. Well, that's the thing. The fact that it's a dual prophecy. I think the thing is both are true. One more than the others because America very much has indigenous values at its core. The values of various First Nations people like this. The Americans by and large are much more, for lack of a better word, outdoorsy people. But there's a lot more nature worship in America. There's a lot more. There's a lot more of that built into the society.
Gnosticism.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from indigenous culture. It's like Boy Scouts is basically this attempt to ape indigenous culture in like a really gross way. But that's where it started was
60,000 different
60,000 that experiment did not turn out very well.
60,000 men have accused the Boy Scouts of sexual assault.
This big settlement was reached recently for millions and millions of dollars.
I think they're going to keep going though. I think they're going to be able to. I think they're worth more than that.
Yeah, Catholic Church kept going.
Well,
the American public school system kept going.
What did the American public school system do?
Oh no, I'm just. It's what I've always said. The pedophiles go to where the kids are at. You know, that's why there are no pedophile astronauts because there are no kids in space.
There probably has been one.
There probably been some pedophile astronauts.
There's probably been one. Why don't we? Let me look up.
John Glenn. John Glenn was a nonce.
List of all astronauts.
Buzz Aldrin.
Let's find the funny name. Here we go. Lauren
Michael
Acton.
Collins. PETA.
Clayton Anderson.
PETA.
Let's see. Kenneth Bowersocks.
Fucking PETA.
Christopher Cassidy.
Look, we can keep doing the joke that all astronauts.
How about
Christopher Cassidy, not a PETA.
Kalpana Chawla.
PETA.
Wow, that person died in the Columbia disaster.
Yeah, that shit's fucked up. Wait, which Columbia disaster? The one in the 80s or the one when the 2004 one?
The 2001. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one. I saw that. I remember seeing that shit on TV. That is fucking horrifying footage. Because you just see you see the shuttle clear as day burning up on reentry. See, that's what America is about: sending people into space to die.
No, come on. The Soviet Union did it all the time. Remember that guy that was like, "I'll go up in this rickety rocket, but on one condition: you have to display my body open casket style if I die." And do you remember that guy? What was his name?
Yuri Gagarin?
No, Yuri Gagarin was the guy who's like, "I'm not doing that shit." Yuri Gagarin was a hero, so he didn't have to.
You're right. You're right. Everybody sends people in space to die. Well, America did it a lot. and Russia.
Well, we
should do it more.
Hey, America, we took out the middleman. We just burned up some people right here on the ground in a spaceship. The first time we tried, we burned them up.
Doing the right thing for the wrong reasons is actually an extremely American thing.
Yeah.
Like joining World War II because they bombed our not to save the world, but they took out our harbor. Those guys, those bastards, revenge. Or like
well, we were gonna just build upon the rubble of Europe if not for Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, the plan was to just lay back and let the Europeans sort it out.
Like up until Pearl Harbor, the plan was Mr. Hitler. We'll make a deal with him.
Yeah. And then, Hitler was a pretty bad leader. Defying the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Bad idea.
Interestingly, Putin has been modifying history so that they don't acknowledge that the Nazis and the Soviet Union ever had an alliance.
Yeah, that's funny. That's pretty funny. Like, why is it so embarrassing, though? Everybody had an alliance with it. Everybody liked Hitler before, the shit hit the fan.
The nationalism that Putin uses to further his movement is World War II Soviet nationalism, that they were responsible for defeating the Nazis.
They were.
Well, but not exclusively.
No, not exclusively, but if you talked about who did the largest contribution to defeating the Nazis, Russia.
Okay, no 20
way.
million of those deaths are just people starving. So you can't...
I'm not talking about just the deaths, but I'm talking about,
that's the argument.
War turns at the siege of Leningrad.
That's the argument that's always used, though. It's like, look, the deaths far outstrip anyone else's. Why is that a proof of anything?
Well, yeah, that's more of a proof of that Stalin was shitty at supply lines, but
it's like, maybe you guys didn't dig your diarrhea trenches big enough. That's probably why.
Yeah, I mean the Russian sacrifice, but if we're talking about just who killed more Nazis and who was responsible for like the Nazis losing their shit more, it was. You also can't say the Russian people did it. It's more just like the Russian landscape did it. It was
right. You gotta have a little bit of sense about when you're doing an analysis of World War II. It was a world war. A lot of people were doing shit. Did the Russians defeat the Japanese? No, they couldn't. They couldn't defeat the Japanese.
Yeah.
They lost the whole fucking war to Japan.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, everybody's got to do their nationalism. Everybody's got to do their, we are the strong ones. We are the ones who do the thing.
It is weird to me to say that the Soviet Union won all of World War II and ignore the Eastern Theater completely.
No, because that didn't happen. World War II is the Nazis.
Okay.
The Japanese are just like a fun side character.
Yeah. They almost kicked our asses. So
yeah, they almost kicked our asses so bad we had to do the worst thing anyone has ever done to them.
Yeah.
That's
we did.
Still number one. We did the worst thing that anyone has ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really, I do think, yeah. I think you could say that the launching of the nuclear missiles is up there for the worst action ever done, because not only, did it kill all those people, but it ushered in the era of constant paranoia, which we still live in today. We still live in the nuclear era. We felt like at the end of history moment, the Cold War had ended and we would be done with all this paranoia. But no, it's just come back. It's just still here because we're still always under the threat of this annihilation. And, that's the real annihilationism, is mutually assured destruction.
Well, no, it's not, but...
Yes, it's the real.
The pandemic has made me feel like I'm always under threat of being killed.
Just by your fellow people around
I'm still
you.
crossing the street when I see someone far away. I'm like, oh shit, there's someone. I'm crossing the street. Can't walk next to someone.
I'm generally fine with. I mean, I've been going out to stores now. Stores are open now, and
Nice.
people are generally respectful.
Like
and
you're going to the dildo store and such.
going to the dildo stores, getting my black screamers on, getting my purple laughers,
Yeah.
getting my pink ticklers, getting all my guys in a row.
Your green dragons.
Getting my green dragons, arranging my dildo collection by height.
Pink unicorn.
Getting my pink unicorn.
That's a good. You know how that one's shaped.
Yeah, getting my mauve missile. That's a good one, actually. I might make a mauve missile. Yeah,
That's a good name for a lot of things.
yeah. It looks like a gigantic mortar shell.
Yeah, like a bullet from Mario.
Yeah, like a bullet that they would have in like one of those German gigantic guns, like named Bertha or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, the naming of the weaponry. Like, we're sending this shell to Adolf here. We put one of our best pinup girls on it.
Yeah.
Just like Italian
We
guys.
put on the most attractive woman in England. It's
Some horrifying looking person.
Tell him it's from old Choppy down in Southmoreland. Get him, Choppy.
Yeah, well, the British, they were bombed to smithereens during World War II. They contributed.
Yeah. Now only if Germany would do that, but only to the TERFs.
You wanted the Germans to bomb the TERFs?
Yeah, we got to do the Blitz for TERFs. Oh no, the air raid sirens, they're getting the TERFs.
Yeah, well, if we get that targeted precision, like, brainwave gun thing, like, we could start doing that.
Precision strikes is the funniest shit. I mean, it's funny because it's the most terrifying shit. It's been another great thing America does.
The
our idea
precision...
that we do precision strikes, or that the idea that you can do these gigantic incendiary campaigns and like only get the bad guys in quotes.
You'll notice they use precision instead of accuracy.
The word they use actually is kinetic.
Oh yeah,
They use kinetic strikes.
but when they use precision, I mean it's on purpose instead of saying accurate, because precise and accurate are different, and a bomb does precisely go in one place always.
Yes, that is true. It precisely landed here.
Accurate means it hit the target you were intending.
Yeah.
Precise does not mean... Precise means it went where it was supposed to go by nature of its being, and that is, wherever it actually ends up.
Yeah, it has an area of effect damage radius. You can't only get the bad guys. There's always gonna be shrapnel. There's always gonna be... But I think that's the vision of a lot of... Like, I think that's what Charlotte Clymer actually thinks. I think Charlotte Clymer, or if she doesn't think that, she thinks we're as close to that as we've ever been, and as a result, that's how we can justify our violent imperialism.
Yeah, it's a bad way. If you're going to justify the imperial power, you have to accept that you are a bad person.
Yeah.
Or that you it's not ethical to control the entire world in such a way.
We can't call Thomas Jefferson a bad person, but we can call Charlotte Clymer a bad person.
No. I want to be clear. You can call Thomas Jefferson a bad person, but in terms of talking about his effect on history, I don't think it's that useful. I mean, I guess it can be useful if the propaganda that's out there is like they didn't do anything bad. So I guess it's useful, sort of.
I've been so far removed from an environment that has that type of history whitewashing. I'm sure they still exist out there.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you're taught that the founding fathers are amazing, my dad didn't know what George Washington's teeth were made out of. I was like, "Hey, Dad, what were George Washington's teeth made out of?" And he was like, "Wood. It's wood." And I was like, "Nope." Let's find out. Let's go. Let me do a screen share, Dad. Let's go see what George Washington's teeth were made out of. And he's like, "Oh, no. It was slave teeth?"
Oh, no.
Yep. And I was like, and you know what? there wasn't like a 1-for-1 thing. They didn't just get 30 perfect matches. They had to find a lot of different teeth to match it. They had to go through a bunch before they got a perfect match. It's like a trial and error type thing.
Jesus.
Uh-huh.
But there's also this, even when they, part of like liberal history myth making is even if they acknowledge that the founding fathers were slave owners, they'll be like, oh, but they were good to their slaves. Or like you'll have this thing where George Washington said on his deathbed to Martha to free the slaves.
Oh, no, well, yeah, I mean, George Washington was not good to his slaves. He did free them, but he was like a taskmaster and would beat them. I think he sometimes beat them personally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, whenever the patriarch would quote unquote free the slaves, like that didn't necessarily always happen. It often set off like this crazy intra-family legal battle because his slaves are a huge part of his assets.
Yeah.
And they're not easily... the thing that then eventually came to haunt the South was that slaves were how they were rich, but they didn't actually have cash, and it was very hard after a certain point to like exchange a slave for cash. And that's one of the ways the North was able to win.
Yeah.
Exploiting tricky economic stuff that the Southerner was like, oh, I'm too far removed from how you do economics.
These maths are giving me a right headache. Yeah. I'm going to settle down on the old porch with a milk julep and jack off.
Yeah. So, happy 4th of July, everybody.
Happy 4th of July. That being said, if I don't celebrate, the spirit of America, but I celebrate the fact that by sheer coincidence, we're on this land together, even by brutality and terror. And I am glad to share, I'm glad to be in proximity to so many wonderful people, and whatever that means.
Yeah,
and,
well, 90% of Canadians are in close proximity to the border, so you guys are like magnetically drawn to our Musk.
I think everyone says, that's a general line. Like, I don't like America, but I like Americans. Because, by and large, I do like Americans. There is that frothing at the mouth optimistic quality that makes y'all so endearing. Even you, the master of cynicism, even you, oppositional defiant disorder, have this strange optimistic quality in a way.
Yes, but that's because during times of great pessimism, it's really a contrarian's peak. Mm-hmm. It's the only time, like not with a pandemic, when everyone is like the world is ending, I'm like perked up. I'm like, ooh.
Suffering's in the air. Yeah. Everybody's going bad. It's time for me to shine.
That's right.
I will be your dad.
I'm able to be optimistic during bad times because I'm a contrarian. It does mean when things are going good, I feel terrible, though.
Double-edged sword.
Double-edged.
I own the only triple-edged sword. It's very useless. It's terrible. Don't get triangle swords. They're bad.
You keep getting cuts.
Yeah. I don't know how to handle this. Yeah, so America, C+.
Wow. I'm going to go with B-, my favorite grade.
Yeah. You still feel like you're kind of smart.
Yeah.
B-.